Hello everyone, Silently here and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to build something that is mildly cheeky, and that is a gravity block duplication machine on the Bedrock Edition of Minecraft using an overworld end portal. Using this little machine right here, you can get up to 72,276 gravity blocks per hour. That includes things like sand, gravel, red sand, any kind of concrete powder, and even anvils. There's absolutely no reason you should ever need 72,000 anvils per hour, but it's something that you can do with this Minecraft machine, so hopefully you do enjoy today's video. So a real quick disclaimer before we get started with the tutorial and the rest of this video, I don't necessarily condone the use of duplication glitches in your Minecraft worlds. However, I do cover a substantial amount of bugs on this channel, and there's bound to be a couple duplication bugs in there as well. Anyway, this is a pretty harmless and innocent duplication bug. It's limited to just a few blocks like the ones that I have on my hotbar and all of the other concrete powders as well. Overall, it could be pretty useful for building in your world. So this is actually a pretty nice machine, if I do say so myself. You can use this just by yourself. You don't need another player in the end dimension to collect all of the items for you, and it doesn't actually obstruct the end portal. As you can see, you can drop in through the center, so you don't need to break anything or modify any of the machine to actually get into the end dimension to do whatever you want. All you gotta do is simply walk into the end dimension, and as you can see, there's gonna be a little bit of lag from all of those gravity blocks, and our entire inventory just gets immediately filled up by all of those items. So yeah, it's a little bit crazy. To give you a little visualization of just how many items you're going to get from using this machine, let's look in these chests. You're going to get all of this sand, including all of that, in just 5 minutes of using the machine. 5 minutes. So imagine this times 12 for what you're going to get in 1 hour. It's honestly ridiculous. It is so many items. 72,000 is a lot of gravity blocks. You're really going to be able to build so many things in your world. So to give you a brief rundown on how exactly the gravity duplication works, it is way simpler than whatever you think this spaghetti redstone is. It's seriously extremely simple. All you need to do is push a falling gravity block into an end portal at the same time that it lands and becomes a solid block again. So as you can see, this system right here does that perfectly. We're pushing the entity that is the falling sand into an end portal. It gets duplicated, one version goes to the end, and then it also turns into a solid block again and stays here in the overworld. So you are basically duplicating things extremely simply. This method of duplication has been around for absolutely ages. It originated on Java Edition, and it happens to work on the Bedrock Edition as well. So credit where credit is due. As always, thank you very much to sofabeddd for sending me this original design right here and getting me into these gravity block duplicators. I had never really seen them before on Bedrock Edition and hadn't really gotten into this side of the game that much on Bedrock Edition. It's been absolutely years since I've played with these, but I find them very interesting, and I just kind of enjoy working on this type of project. So thank you very much to sofabeddd once again for getting me into this, and also for sending me this original design right here. So this is more of like a little slice of the full design. This right here is more or less the full design unchanged, except I had to swap out the observers for a repeater, since that is a little bit more reliable. So this design right here that sofabeddd sent me actually gets you about 36,000 items per hour, which is really good for how simple and basic and cheap this farm is. I mean, look at this. Literally anyone can build this just by looking at it, and it is really awesome. So you guys know me, I wasn't just gonna stop there. I wanted to do some research and just play around with this concept for a little while. So I took that design right there and then just kind of refined it and chopped it down a little bit, made it cheaper and slightly more reliable, and basically got to this version more or less the same rates as the original, just a little bit cheaper and easier to build. Regardless, it took a couple more hours of me, Skim, and James working on just various different prototypes, doing some testing, and more or less just chilling, and then we came up with this design right here, and this produces pretty much exactly double of the original design, and honestly, it's really, really cool. I swear to you, it is way simpler than it looks to build. It is actually quite the simple contraption. One more thing before we hop into the tutorial, I know some of you guys are going to be interested and curious as to why this design produces 72,000 items per hour, while the other designs only produce 36,000 items per hour. This is for a pretty simple reason. The redstone circuitry of this design kind of goes around in a circle and activates one of these sections at a time, basically duplicating 3 gravity blocks at a time as it goes around in a circle. As you can see, it works quite fine. There is no issues with that. However, we have to install additional delay for that in order to not have issues where the sand or gravity blocks will pop off, break your machine, and stop duplicating. And the way that we get around all of those issues is by alternating which sides we activate at one time. So we activate this side and this side at one time, duplicating all of those items while those ones are kind of in their cooldown. Then we activate the other sides and then just basically rinse and repeat that process, making for a twice fast machine with much better circuitry that just duplicates 72,000 items per hour. And overall, it is absolutely amazing. I lied. There is one more thing that we need to talk about, and that is if you have another player in the end dimension. So having another player in the end dimension means that the platform is loaded and means that you can have all the items be collected and put into a storage system immediately, reducing lag and allowing you to run the farm for longer. However, because the blocks actually get placed in the end dimension, some of those blocks are going to get deleted by the obsidian platform regenerating every time you duplicate an item. So you're going to have significant loss if you have the end dimension loaded. You'll get 61,700-ish items per hour, whereas if you have no players in the end dimension and you just let the duplicated items build up, then you'll get the full rates of 72,000 items per hour. So it's kind of a gamble which way you want to go. Of course, you can't run this farm for a full hour because 72,000 items in the end dimension is not going to be a good time, but also if you have someone loading the end, you're going to lose some items. And let's go ahead and hop into the tutorial, shall we? There's going to be a full materials list for this build down in the description of the video for your convenience. And the first thing that we're going to start off with is, of course, our end portal in the overworld. So just go to any random stronghold that you like, find your end portal, and you want to go ahead and activate this thing with all the eyes of Ender. So we're going to need to clear out a substantial amount of room around the actual end portal in order to grow some red mushrooms. You will need podzol from this, and you will need a lot of bone meal to get these things to grow. So we're going to be using the red mushrooms to actually delete the end portal frames around the edge. That way we can actually use the end portals themselves to duplicate the gravity blocks. So to every side of your end portal, you want to go down by 4 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, and that is going to be your 4th block, and then go over by 2, so 1 and 2, and that is where you want your little piece of podzol with your red mushroom. Go ahead and bone meal that thing, and you should see it wipe out these end portal frames immediately, which is extremely convenient. And now you need to tear down the entirety of that mushroom. So you need to do this on all sides, of course, in order to get rid of all of those end portal frames, get rid of the entire mushroom, bone meal it again, and this is going to take a lot of bone meal. These things are pretty resistant to growing, especially if you're going to be underground. So just go ahead and do that on all sides, and we're officially ready to build. Before we go much further, make sure to set your spawn next to your end portal. That way you don't have to travel thousands of blocks back to this location if you do go to the end dimension on accident. So we're going to start off with a single duplication machine on this side. You want a couple of pistons facing upwards right here in this location. And keep in mind that everything that we build on this side, we're going to be building on all 4 sides. This thing is the same on all sides. So you want 3 pistons right there, 3 solid blocks right there, a block along, a block out and up like so, and 2 more blocks to either side. 4 pieces of redstone dust right there, another 3 pieces of redstone dust on that side, and go ahead and put a repeater on 2 ticks right there. We're going to go ahead and install 3 pieces of sand as a temporary placeholder block, and now we need to get ourselves 3 pistons in this location just like so. go ahead and place yourself some grindstones right here on top of the end portals, and these things are actually immovable, so it's kind of a perfect block. If you don't want to use grindstones, you can actually use ender chests as well. Now just build that same thing on all 4 sides. And this is what it should look like when you have all 4 sides installed. Keep in mind the grindstones on top of your end portal can be in any orientation you like. It does not matter which way you place them. And now you need to decide which side is going to be the front of your farm. I'm going to make this side right here the front of my farm. So what you want to do is go beneath this repeater right here, place in a solid block right there with a lever on top of it, and that's going to be the location of your on and off switch for this gravity block duplicator. So now we need to go down underneath of this farm, and you can look up and you can see that the end portals are actually invisible. It's kind of cool. Anyway, we need to go directly beneath the center, right in between all of your grindstones, and we need to mine out a little 2x3 area right here, going towards the front of your farm. This is going to be the location of the main clock, which controls the entire contraption. So you want a solid block, a piece of redstone right there, repeater on 2 ticks, a normal block, and then a piece of redstone dust. As you can see, that's going to create a clock. We're just going to go ahead and remove that piece of redstone for the time being. Now go ahead and place a block right underneath the center piston on every single side, like so, and on top of these blocks we're going to have a repeater on 2 ticks of delay. Make sure all of these repeaters are in place. This is crucial to the timings of the farm. We now want to go ahead and place in another redstone torch right there, a block above it, a redstone torch on that side going to the left side of the farm, and then we want a redstone torch on the right side as well. You can have a block right there, another block right there, and make sure to place redstone dust on both of those as well. And now to hook up the actual on and off switch, we want to remove these 3 blocks to the right of it. 2 solid blocks have 2 pieces of redstone dust and a repeater on 1 tick going into this solid block for your lower redstone clock. Go ahead and flick that lever, and now we're going to go ahead and place in the missing piece of redstone dust that we removed earlier. There's one more feature that we're going to add to this farm, and that is actually a system to disable the redstone lines right here to shut off these pistons. This is going to help with 2 things. It's going to prevent the items from breaking and popping off into items as you churn off the farm, and it's also going to make it much easier to switch out these gravity blocks for other gravity blocks. For instance, if you want to switch out the sand duplicator for an actual gravity duplicator, you won't have issues where all of your pistons are powered. They're going to be offline, so that it's much easier to switch out your blocks. So as you can imagine, very easy system to install. We need 2 solid blocks to the left right here, 2 pieces of redstone dust. You want to staircase up with 3 pieces of glass, staircase in with another piece of glass, and then you want a sticky piston facing forward with a solid block on its face, and of course a redstone dust on all sides of it. That's going to extend, cut that redstone power so that it's much easier to switch out these blocks and so that they don't break off into items. And of course we need to do that on the other side as well. And now we can go ahead and flick the lever, and if everything is built properly, we should see something like this happen, which is absolutely beautiful. You can now go ahead and turn off the farm and switch out the sand for whatever gravity block you like, whether that be a concrete powder, some gravel, some red sand, or even anvils. Whatever you want to put in there, it'll duplicate just fine. And now we have the question of storage in the end dimension. You're going to need an octuple speed storage system that is 8 times hopper speed in order to store 72,000 items per hour, which is quite a few. Now, the main challenge for this is that the entire 5x5 obsidian platform plus 3 blocks above it gets completely reset to air every single time a single entity like an item goes through the end portal, and this is also why you have some loss when the end dimension is loaded. So there's not really a great way to do this. I have a hopper minecart here in the very center block, which as you can see will have the center block on it, and then underneath that I have an entire bed of hopper minecarts. These guys are on top of a bed of hoppers, and then all of these guys go into like 8 double chests down here at the bottom. This is not an ideal situation. You don't really have that much room to work with, and minecarts have the super wonky weird physics at the moment, so it's not really the easiest thing to work around, and I've never had to design one of these before, so I don't really know how to do it. Anyway, if you can figure out something cool, good for you, but otherwise, throw all that stuff into a chest because you're gonna have so many items to store. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this tutorial, then of course let me know with a comment down below. I'm always trying to help you guys out as best as I possibly can. If you did enjoy this tutorial, then of course leave a like on the video as it helps out the video and the channel significantly. If you are new here and you want to see more tutorials like this in the future, then of course make sure to subscribe. I upload 3 to 5 videos every single week, and many of those are tutorials. And otherwise, thank you ever so much for watching. Have yourself a great day. I will see you guys down in that comment section and in the next one. And then there was silence.